What's up, everybody? How we doing? Can you guys hear me, see me? Yes, everything is working. If you guys are tuning in here live for today's live, Friday, September 13th, please let me know where in the comment section you guys are tuning in from. Let me know where you guys are watching this from if you are watching this live. And if you're watching the replay, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, a like, to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be doing these lives every Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. PST, for anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour, just depending on the inspiration level and whatever we're talking about and whatever we feel like we have to say. Again, I'm going to want these to be more of a discussion as my channel grows here, as we get people more connected into the discussion, as more people kind of come across this information, that it's going to move more into a discussion as opposed to sort of this, again, as I've talked about, this sort of monologue. That's the intention anyway, to really create conversation, to create discussion with all these pieces. We're talking about everything from spirituality to relationships to polarity to transformation to somatic healing to exploring deeper regions of the human psyche and the human condition. So that's what we're about here, guys. Just transformation in the greatest facet. Also having fun, making it light, making it comedic, making it humorous, because this shit can be heavy. And so we're going to have some fun with the content as well. So, all right, guys. So today we're talking about all these current energy upgrades that are happening right now. And this is going to be a really, really fascinating sort of chat, conversation, talk that I'm going to sort of give here and move into as we're going to explore this topic. So current energy upgrades, right? So, obviously for those who follow astrology, I follow astrology a little bit. I find it interesting, but I find there's always something. There's always like the moon is spinning on this axis and, the fucking whatever Nolar eclipse of fucking Neptune and Aries new moon. It's like so much, and it's so much like little intricate information. There's always something. It's funny because I wanted to, I have this short film idea that it's like a comedy where all of a sudden like everything's astrologically chill, like the moon's not fucking doing anything. And obviously, and it's just sort of what that would happen on Earth when all, every astrological reading is like that. Everything's pretty calm today. Everything's pretty chill. The moon is just hanging out. Then like all like spiritual women are like, what the fuck? Obviously it would disrupt everyone's cycles and kind of create pandemonium. Maybe men start getting their periods. I don't know. Men start getting their periods and, now it's this big sort of cosmic shift. But anyways, I have a short film idea about that. And so I don't follow astrology a lot, but there is always something happening. And so right now at this juncture, there's going to be people who do chart astrology. They're probably going to look at whatever their astrology charts and be like, oh shit, like it's spiking like this. And they're just sort of salivating and getting all fucking hot and bothered by like what's happening with the astrology chart. They're like, oh shit, this is some potent shit. You know what I mean? It's like the weather person who loves when like a hurricane's coming, like, oh, they get up, they're like, I get to report on this hurricane today, but like this hurricane's going to come here and it's going to demolish all of Florida. But they're like, well, I get to report on it. Anyways, I digress. So upon doing some more of my own reading, what's happening, you guys, is sure, there's probably something astrologically, but there is actually something, I guess, astronomy, science-based that is actually happening right now. We are experiencing, and this is through like reading literal space articles, we're experiencing like, say at a 10 out of 10 earthquake, we're experiencing like a 10 out of 10 solar flare eruption or emission, whatever you want to call it. And so there's literally something science-based to explain what is happening. And so I just wanted to read to you guys a little bit to kind of set the stage of sort of what we're dealing with. And then I'm going to kind of decipher from my dumb human brain, my sort of spiritual teacher brain, some of this sort of like energy sort of science stuff, which obviously, I'm fucking retarded at, but I'm going to decipher it and distill it down to what the implications would be from a human here on Earth going through a spiritual experience, going through a transformational experience. How do we sort of break this down? So I'm going to read to you some of the science first to kind of set the stage. And before I do read some of this, and I won't read a lot, I won't bore you guys to death, but I'll just try to pick out a few really interesting things. It was crazy because I woke up yesterday, Thursday morning, and immediately got this hit in my body. I was like, today is the peak. I was like, today, Thursday, September 12th, is the peak of this energy sort of cosmic collision, right? And then, anyways, upon reading these articles, exactly at the time that I woke up in my body, and I was like, today's the peak. Science, it was just saying that was when the eruption happened. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know any of this. I didn't read any of this. And so our bodies are infinite wealths of wisdom when it comes to communicating and aligning with sort of the stratosphere and the cosmos, because we are all made of stardust. We're all made of the same matter that composes, the different galaxies and everything, right? And so when we really kind of open up our channel, when we really sort of move in our process where we're actually really able to receive from the divine and God, we're really able to like tap into what's happening in the greater cosmos. Like, for example, like when a woman is able to really clear her body and vessel to align more with God, it's really going to help sync up her cycle with, the moon and kind of get more on that sort of trajectory in a way that's really good for her hormones. And so the more that we're able to clear our vessel of our own sort of stuck energy, our own sort of traumas, we're able to move into more of a synchronistic sort of parallel energetic frequency with the cosmos. And so the more that we clear our vessels, the more that we're going to be impacted and we're going to feel what's happening in sort of, the stars, what's happening with the sun, because solar flares has to do with the atmosphere of the sun, the moon, all these different things. The more that we become connected to source inside of us, the more our vessel opens to God inside of us, the more that we're going to be connected to what's happening at a greater level with sort of how energy moves on the planet. Yeah, Josie Thorne finally joining live. Gang, here we go. Okay. All right, guys. So as I mentioned, for those who are just tuning in, that what we're doing is we're giving sort of a energy sort of reading, talking about this current energetic upgrade that has to do directly with solar flares. So what we're dealing with, guys, is solar flares. That is what's happening. There's always going to be astrological stuff, but so we're going to talk about the spiritual meaning and the spiritual transformation that can happen during an eruption or period of solar flare activity. So you guys, and this is just straight off Wikipedia, a solar flare is a relatively intense, localized emission of electromagnetic radiation in the sun's atmosphere. Flares occur in active regions and are often, but not always, accompanied by the coronal mass ejections, solar particle events, and other eruptive solar phenomena. The occurrence of solar flares varies with the 11-year solar cycle. So physical description, solar flares are eruptions of electromagnetic radiation originating in the sun's atmosphere. They affect all layers of the solar atmosphere. Flares occur in active regions around sunspots, where intense magnetic fields penetrate the atmosphere to link the corona to the solar interior. So flares are powered by the sudden release of magnetic energy stored in the corona. The same energy releases may also produce mass coronal ejections. So associated with solar flares are flare sprays. They involve faster ejections of material than eruptive prominences and reach velocities of 20 to 2,000 kilometers per second. So basically what we determine from that, you guys, is, and I'm going to read you some other stuff, but basically what we determine from that is, so it comes from sunspots, whatever that means, but it's coming from the sun's atmosphere. And so essentially what we're dealing with is crazy amounts of energy that is actually released from the sun. And this is reported from space articles. This is not something woo this is something legit, scientifically proven and backed, if you guys look it up, that it's happening right now, and the peak was yesterday, Thursday. So, obviously you guys have heard of electromagnetic radiation. We have all these, EMR has been such a big thing, and how do we sort of block EMR? And, here, I'll read to you guys what EMR is. And, EMR blockers has become huge right now. EMR can really dysregulate your nervous system. It can cause like brain inflammation. It can cause, like, for example, when I'm around a lot of EMR, I have a real problem with my digestive system. Like, I don't go to the bathroom as well. And then when I get removed from EMR energy, which is going to be more rural areas where there's less towers, then my digestion's way better. My nervous system is able to regulate, able to ground a lot more. So what's happening is we have all this EMR energy that is being produced from the sun, that's being literally emitted from the sun, which is creating this crazy. And I think the really interesting thing here, guys, that stuck out to me is that they involve faster ejections of material than eruptive prominences. So think of like being near a volcano, right? Erupting, or any sort of like earthquake, and feeling the tectonic movement. This is way more prominent than that, is what they're actually saying in that article, which is crazy, right? So think about the amount of energy that is being produced and happening all at once. And so in a way, this is coming to us as a real influx of, or they're called EMFs. My apologies. Also called EMFs. Okay. Yeah. So electromagnetic radiation. And so we have a major influx of this energy coming in, a major influx. And so I'm going to read. So in physics, electromagnetic radiation, EMR, consists of waves of the electromagnetic field which propagate through space and carry momentum and electromagnetic radiant energy. Classically, electromagnetic radiation consists of electromagnetic waves, which are synchronized oscillations of electric and magnetic fields. So electromagnetic waves are emitted by electrically charged particles undergoing acceleration. And these waves can subsequently interact with other charged particles, exerting force on them. So I think what's interesting there is that electromagnetic waves are emitted by electrically charged particles undergoing acceleration. So think about how much energetic and sort of electric energy that we're accessing all at one time, right? And so if we're someone who's really sensitive to electromagnetic radiation, then we're probably going to be feeling this a lot more than the average person. I'm someone that's very, very sensitive to it. Like literally when I'm around too much electromagnetic energy, like I literally get constipated, like I can't take a shit. And so some people, depending on the sensitivity of their system, are going to kind of fluctuate with that. We might notice in our head a lot, we might have tingling in our head. We might have a lot of crazy sort of head symptoms that are sort of showing up when we have a lot of like EMR energy that's sort of coming into space. So this is all coming from the sun, right? So it's coming from sunspots. And the last thing before we sort of go into just talking about the spiritual meaning, so I'm going to read just quickly. So this was an article on space.com, and it said sun fires off X-class solar flare, increasing aurora viewing chances into weekend. It's been a busy week for solar activity with more powerful solar flares and geomagnetic storm possibilities in the forecast. A parade of solar activity continues to flow from the sun this week. This is reported yesterday, opening up more chances to spot the aurora across the United States this weekend. On Thursday morning, September 12th, a sunspot region that has not been numbered yet made its presence known, blasting off a X1.3 class flare. X-class solar flares are the most powerful of their kind and are typically followed by a full or partial loss of high-frequency radio signals for sun-lit locations on our planet. I don't know what you guys have experienced, but like my cell service has been down, my Wi-Fi isn't working properly. But then it's like I ask some people who aren't tapped into this around me and their shit's working fine. So I don't know if you guys have noticed like, cell service, but there's going to be a lot of, disruption to technology because of the crazy influx of this energy. It's like this big swirl, right? So that's what it was talking about there. The energetic eruption, which peaked at 5:43 a.m. yesterday, Thursday, September 12th, brought impacts earlier this morning with communication bans across Africa, Europe, and parts of Asia. Forecasters of Space Weather Prediction Center will continue to analyze the data to confirm how many more CMEs could reach Earth's magnetic field, both from the X-class flare and also a group of M-class flares, the second strongest in class. So it's kind of like we're experiencing like an energetic earthquake coming from the sun. It's basically saying the solar flares are the highest of their kind, right? So this is legit being reported by space.com. If you guys want to look it up, I had, so many people, as I was talking to about this energy, were like solar flares, solar flares. I didn't know a lot about solar flares, so I kind of started to do a little bit of research this week, and which was just wild to read that. It's all being reported. This is happening. And so if you guys are experiencing crazy energy right now, if you're experiencing wild influx of energy, it's literally coming from the sun. It's coming from the sun's atmosphere. It's literally solar flares. And this is why I find interesting at times like this when people who are like, oh, it's so woo-woo spirituality. It's like, like this is science. Like this is science impacting the energetic, physical, somatic body. Actually, it's all like actually shit that's happening at like a science proven, energetic particle and matter level, which is absolutely crazy. I find that so wild because you can't read shit like this and then be having the impact that you're having where you're going through like a transformational experience because of what's being emitted from the sun. Like this is blowing my mind. And I just find it interesting when people are so like, fuck spirituality, like that's so woo-woo. But then it's actually science where this is all originating from. This is where all this is coming from. And usually people who are very woo-woo are very science oriented and like, let's look at the sort of the science facts. But it's going to be all about how open our channel is and how sensitive our channel is to what we're going to be noticing right now. And actually, the last piece that I wanted to just bring forward here. So I quickly just looked up, and you guys may or may not have heard of him. He's like an Indian spiritual teacher, philosopher, Sadhguru, I think is how you pronounce his name. And I just watched this quick 4-minute video, and this was from 12 years ago, which was the impact of solar flares on human consciousness. And so I'm going to kind of leapfrog from just a couple things that he said. I watched this 4-minute video, and basically to summarize, to give you guys, it was just a 4-minute him talking about kind of what happens spiritually during a solar flare. Spirituality is really so scientific, but they aren't ready for that conversation yet. I totally agree. Like everything that we're feeling spiritually is rooted in an origin of science. Again, I'm so not a science person, but I'll read up on some things, at least enough that I can inform somewhat the spirituality of it, right? That's just not my sort of bread and butter. But often people who are so against spirituality are usually science people. And so I just find it really interesting right now because what's actually happening in this energetic vortex has a root in literally what's happening in the sun, like an undeniable, science-based, proven sort of observation of what's happening. And so I just find it crazy when people just dispel spirituality and like that's woo-woo when it really is originated from science. So everything that's happening has an origin in science right now. And so this Eastern spiritual teacher, philosopher, he was talking about this, how solar flares are going to impact human consciousness. And basically what he said is that it's going to bring you to more of your natural nature, right? He said, if you're a volatile person, you're going to become more volatile. He said, if you're, going mad, you're probably going to go more mad. If you're a peaceful person, you're probably going to become even more peaceful. If you're a meditative person, you're probably even going to become more meditative. Some people also won't even react to this, and that could be either their bodies aren't sort of tapped into this field, or maybe they're really, really just strong in their body and energy that they aren't really going to be impacted by it. But what he said about this period, which is really interesting, is that, and if you think about this, guys, and what we're dealing with, at just a very bit, we have a massive influx of energy, right? Energy is transformation. Energy means things are moving. Something is happening. We're not stagnant. We're not stuck. So as all this energy is being emitted by the sunspots in the sun's atmosphere, coming down to Earth or into the sort of the Earth's atmosphere as more EMR, electromagnetic radiation, we're dealing with a lot of intense, really high powered, high frequency, high volume energy. So, of course, this is going to overwhelm us. This is probably going to put your system into a space of dysregulation. It's going to put you into a little bit of temporary chaos in some form. Like, for example, I've been really irritable. Like I'm going through these full body releases where my whole body is contracting, like seizing up like this, and slowly it's trying to release, but it's like my whole body is in like a brace position. Like my lower back is in so much pain right now because all the energy is trying to now move through my root. And so there's so much energy that's come. So our physical body, our nervous system is going to be overwhelmed. We're going to be like we're going to get blasted by the energy. But what this is doing is it's creating a real significant conjunction point of transformation. And so this Eastern philosopher, Sadhguru, what he was talking about is that it creates an opportunity, right? It creates an opportunity, right? So people can go more into their own sort of self-destruction, or they can go more into their own sort of self-realization, right? And so we can find really, really deep meaning in a period like right now. So it's an opportunity. If you think about it, we can go deeper into our true calling, or we can move farther away from it. I think when this type of energy comes, a lot of us can be fearful, right? Because we've really been blasted by a lot of energy, which is going to trigger our patterns of sabotage, self-destruction. It's going to trigger a lot of fear. It's going to trigger a lot of fear because because we've been hit with so much energy that it's triggering like a nervous system physical contraction, a physical retreating into the body, right? This holding. And so it can be a time where we move further away from the calling, where more fear comes, right? And so what I sort of surmised just from the quick 4 minutes, which these were already things that I was feeling into in my body, and it just sort of reaffirmed things that I was already feeling. But this becomes a real point to find deeper meaning in our life and deeper meaning on our spiritual path. So it's an opportunity to go deeper into the process. And so for me, I've been crazy creative combined with being in sort of this place where I've been pretty having to just rest and kind of hold on because the energy is so strong. So a combination of doing nothing and like having to like retreat and hold on, and to being really hyper creative, right? Really hyper creative. And for me, one thing, like I'm a creative medium. This is something that I've just been told by every psychic that I've worked with. So I've moved more into this full creativity of my entire body and vessel. And so what I have felt is this deeper calling and sort of purity to the natural vibration of my spirit, right? So as the sun is literally emitted all this energy from these sunspots, from the sun's atmosphere, and it's showing up as electromagnetic radiation literally here on Earth, it's creating movement in some way. It's creating movement. And always where there's movement, there's transformation, right? That's why always when we feel stuck, we have to just create movement, healthy movement in the nervous system, so things are able to move. And when we experience a big influx like this, it's not like it's not this very gentle, let's go do some gentle body work, let's move and just gently release. It's kind of like an energetic storm has hit. It's kind of like an energetic storm has hit. So there's a lot of chaos that's happening right now, right? And so what it's really asking you is, where are you really being asked to move towards in your life? Where are you really being asked to move towards in your life? What are you being asked to move deeper into? I always think of God as like a thread or a cord. And so what is the brightest and most illuminated thread and cord in your life? If you really think about where you're being called, if you really think about where you're being called, what is that direction? And so for me, just to give you guys an example, I've really been called into my speaking voice and my creativity. And so what this EMR sort of storm, this solar flare ignition, which is going to create, the reason why this solar flare, you guys, is going to create such spiritual transformation is because spirituality is all about energy, right? It's all about the access to large quantities and volumes of energy. And it's about the movement and how energy learns to flow. So you can move as this holy being. So when the solar flare hits, we've been hit with all this cosmic energy at one time. We've been hit with all this cosmic energy at one time. And the question is, what are we going to do with this energy? What are we going to do with this energy? You know, again, a lot of people kind of get tentative, they get hesitant, they get afraid of this energy. They're like, whew, because what we're having to do is we're having to move into a more raw, pure, and vulnerable expression of who we really, really are. So again, it's going to bring up all the masks when we have this massive, and this would happen during the pandemic too. There's a major influx of cosmic energy in a very small period of time, which ignites very large transformation in a very small period of time. So right now, we're essentially going to be going through a very visceral, somatic, energetic, physical experience in the body where we're trying to transform massive upgrades in a very small period of time, which is why you're probably going to be irritated. You're going to be all over the place right now, really dysregulated in your system. Like literally what it feels like in my body is like I'm lying down. It's hard to get up because my body's in such a contraction that it's hard for me to get up. And when I breathe really deeply, my whole body sort of shudders and releases energy. And what this energy is trying to do is trying to ground down on Earth, right? So it's a big cosmic collision. And what that means is we're accessing higher vibrational energy that is trying to move through us to be able to ground and live through us, which means we're being asked to access more of our spiritual gifts, more of our truth, and be able to ground that energy through our body here on Earth. This is where a lot of people kind of, again, get tripped up because they don't have a way for energy to exit their body. So maybe they're accessing this energy, but there's no way for the energy to be released. You guys have heard me talk, I think, in my Spiritually Gifted YouTube video, where we have a closed root chakra. So that means we're accessing large volumes of energy, but there's nowhere for energy to be released. So, for example, my lower back, like I can barely walk today because my lower back's like this. My stomach is bloated. Guys, when your stomachs are bloated and you have often what it means is it's sacral energy that wants to move down. So my stomach is ballooned out. It feels like I had a Thanksgiving dinner and I haven't eaten anything. And what that is that's energy that's wanting to merge into my sacral center, right? Which is the power center of the body. But it gets stuck in sort of the passage of fear, which is the stomach. But energy is also just going to move through its process, right? And so people get really tripped up in times like this. They kind of veer off course. They're like, oh, I don't want to live a spiritual life. I don't want to pursue that thing. I don't want to move more into my authenticity. I don't want to move more into my truth. And at an energetic standpoint, it might mean that they don't have anywhere for the energy to go, right? Which means we're not really able to utilize what's happening, right? We're not able to utilize what's happening. Let me break down what that means. I think that's a really important thing that I've come across here. We're not able to utilize it. So, guys, let's bring it back to the pandemic. Remember how the pandemic became an opportunity to move more into your authentic spirit and vibration, or almost like an opportunity missed because you weren't ready through the current evolution of your spiritual path, your somatic physical nervous system? Yes, Robin, some anger come up. Anger is change. I've had a lot of like rage come up too, like a lot of rage. But so you guys, when the pandemic hit, right? Think about how a lot of people's lives really transformed. In a way, a lot of people came more onto sort of the timeline of the cosmos, right? The pandemic hits, we move more onto sort of this authentic, where our bodies began to sync up more with the greater constellations. Whereas some other people, depending on what their life journey is, what their life path was, and where they were at in their evolution, they weren't ready, or they had too much fear come up. They weren't ready to move towards it. The world at large wasn't able to move towards it. But think about how much like corruption there is in the world. Think about how not tapped into any of this the leaders are in the world. That's why the world is continuing to move through karma and karma and karma, because they're not able to align, because the institutions have been there for however many years. It's so ancient that they're not able to adapt to how this influx of cosmic energy is shifting things, right? And that's why I think we need more leaders who are tapped into more of this vibration to be able to sort of shift outdone and old written sort of institutions, right? Anyways, we're not going to get too far into that. But so the pandemic was an opportunity. And so when this solar flare hits, we're experiencing energetic eruption that's more than like an earthquake or a volcano that would have been near your geographic area. So it's this seismic quantum upgrade in a small period of time. And the question is, you guys, how do we use this? Are we ready to use this? Are we ready to seize this cosmic injection as an opportunity to move into greater creation, or an opportunity to move maybe more into certain patterns of self-destruction, or a path of our resistance and our stagnation? This is where fear comes up, and we're in a real oscillation, you guys. So what happens when there's a cosmic injection? I call it a bridge moment, where it's a big oscillation between the possibilities of like new earth and the fear-ridden feelings of resistance of remaining in the old paradigm. And we experience the oscillation, which is why right now, as this injection is hit, we're probably going to be experiencing chaos, which is a wide spectrum of so many different things. Means one day we're going to shift into sort of the new vibration of this possibility, and the next day we're going to kind of move back into that retreat pattern of self-destruction, or the old sort of paradigm of fear, of stagnation, right? And so when these influxes hit, the question is, are we going to use this opportunity, right? And so what happens is we experience these cosmic injections. Right now, it's via a solar flare from the sun. We experience the proportional impact on our body depending on our own specific evolution of where we're at spiritually, where we're at energetically, and where we're at in what our nervous system can hold, right? So say some person maybe is a little bit spiritual, and maybe they're like, I'm just a bit tired. I'm just a little bit tired, right? I'm just a little bit tired. And so maybe right now, how this solar flare is impacting their life is they're just tired and they're needing to sleep a bit more. If someone's just a bit tired, you guys who are tuning in, do you think if someone's just a bit tired, do you think they're going to dramatically shift their life and use this as an opportunity? Or do you think they're just going to kind of sleep, and then when the solar flare passes, they're just going to continue to live and do the exact same things they were doing before? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Or maybe we're just feeling just a little bit depressed, right? We're feeling a little bit depressed, and we're like, I feel just a little bit shitty, right? And so depending on the impact of what we're feeling will determine a course of action, will determine the proportional amount of action that maybe we take. And so this is why these cosmic injections keep happening as the earth evolves, and they become spiritual opportunities, whether we want to seize them or not. And it determines if we're ready or if we're not ready. So if you guys think about, why would some people like literally not be aware of the energy? Because proportionally, their body hasn't aligned with any of the energy of the cosmos, right? And I don't mean that in a woo-woo sense. I mean that they would have created a capacity in their nervous system. They would have energetically and emotionally cleared enough of their own personal traumas from their life, the ancestral life, past life, so their body can open up to this vibration of the cosmos. So when people don't feel anything what's happening, it means their body's not aligned with the energetic vibration of the cosmos, which is fine. All the people that run the world are not aligned to this vibration. This is why when all these cosmic interjections keep happening, nothing changes, right? Make America great again. It's let's ignore the injections of this cosmic energy and try to create something that's outdated, and create something that is rooted in karmic structure, right? So karma is divine energy that we fight against, right? And then if we're someone right now, you guys, who's really impacted from the energy right now, you can ask yourself, what is the big shift in course of action that is being asked to take place and take root in my life right now? Maybe, you're being asked to move towards more of your creativity. Maybe it's you're asked to move to that place that you felt that inkling, right? Where we're really being asked to energetically clean up our life in certain ways that we know has not been operating with sort of the holy, godlike energy of that pure vibration. We're being asked to clean something up. And so chaos is ignited. Chaos is ignited, and it either becomes an opportunity to move more into fear or move more into the vibration of God, right? And it depends on what we're able to hold and what we're ready for, right? So some people who haven't fully come awake, they might have a lot of fear come up and they might really be impacted by it, but they're not ready to make any change, right? And so what it actually does is they root more into their shame. They root more into sort of their self-loathing. They move deeper into stagnation in their nervous system because they're not ready to make the change. And so this is why this eruption of solar flare energy is really, we go kind of deeper into a cave or we move more into exposure. We move more into exposure. We move deeper into, yes, pattern. Exactly. So, Robin, it's really important to just, what is trying to be revealed? Really, really, we have to have this sobering thought is what is trying to be revealed to us right now? What is really trying to be revealed to us? And we have to really move towards that peace. Now what happens is we get to integrate the cosmic injection. We get to integrate the arrival of all this cosmic energy to expand the foundation of God within us, right? Or if we don't use this opportunity, we move more into self-loathing, more into self-destruction, more into patterns of avoidance, more into fear, more into scarcity, more into survival, right? More into survival. It's being revealed, but we want to avoid it. We want to turn the other shoulder. We want to turn away from it. It's too scary. This is where we can move into sort of victim consciousness, right? So it allows us to really take accountability for everything in our life and all the energy and how everything is moving and how everything is working, right? And so this is an opportunity. This cosmic injection is an opportunity. And I will say, guys, that this cosmic injection, so we're being activated with energy, EMR energy from the sun, from these sunspots, right? But it's going to bring up all your personal traumas, right? So I'll talk from my experience because that's an easy standpoint. I'm feeling a lot of trauma from the womb be activated. And so while it's a cosmic experience, what it does, when a cosmic experience arrives in the human body, it brings up everything in the earthly body that is getting in the way of allowing us to have a cosmic experience on Earth. And in order to have a cosmic experience on Earth, we have to integrate a certain level of our own traumas and inherited traumas to move into a vibration of freedom, a vibration of joy, a vibration of total unhinged power of sort of a cosmic layer and vibration. And so it's going to bring up all your deepest shit. It's going to bring up all your attachment trauma. It's going to bring up, your earliest traumas. It's going to bring up a huge influx of ancestral energy. It's going to bring up everything. When we think eruption, I want you to think we're literally being injected from cosmic energy from the greater stratosphere of the earth that is intertwined with our own personal traumas. That's why this is so confusing, right? Because we're like, okay, I feel my own shit. I'm having kind of a human experience of my own shame that's being revealed, my own avoidance, my own fear being revealed to me in a very 3D way. But you can tell by the activation of energy that we're literally accessing like a 20D energetic experience. So this is very much I say it's when heaven and earth meet. It's when the spirit realm, because of the energetic eruption, there's like literally no separation between the spirit realm and the earthly realm. So now the 20D is trying to merge with like a 3D experience. And so what happens with us as human beings is we're trying to figure out how we integrate this higher octane energy within a human experience, right? And this is why some people get really overwhelmed by the energy and they can't use it. Like I've been really overwhelmed. I've been really dysregulated. I've been really fucking irritable. I've been chaotic. Like I'm having a hard time sitting still because like swirling so much. But I'm really kind of understanding of how I'm needing to use this energy. And it's taken a little bit, but I'm really understanding of how I need to use this energy and what this energy is trying to reveal and it's trying to show me, right? It feels like a greater possibility for my life is revealing itself. And what's happening is the energy is trying to integrate in my 3D body to kind of root and integrate that experience. What action release practice do you recommend around solar flares? Well, Kayla or Kala, you know what I've simply been doing? So, and again, solar flares, intuitively, the way that I have related this energy is to the solar plexus. And again, that's just straight intuition based of just where I have felt the call in the body. And I did mention that I've experienced like a balloon in my stomach. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this where you're like, it's not even like you're bloated. You know what it feels more like? It's like, when a balloon's being blown up, right? When a balloon's being blown up, it feels like that's happening in my stomach. And so if we think of sort of the root of that, right? Of the origin of where that ballooning in the stomach is happening, I intuitively go to my solar plexus. And so what I simply do is just put my hands on my solar plexus and I breathe into my solar plexus as deeply as possible. And I breathe into my mid-back muscles, right? Because what you guys also might be noticing is your whole spine, your whole back is seized up, right? Because that's going to be really common. My whole back is like this because the energy is trying to travel down the back of your spine. And so what this does, you guys, is we're experiencing a microcosm experience of probably your nervous system is short-circuiting right now. My nervous system is short-circuiting right now, which is kind of like, imagine you're trying to turn on a light switch, but there's too much electricity. There's too much power trying to be filtered into the energy outlet all at once, and it overwhelms it and you blow a fuse. That's what's happening at a nervous system level right now. That's why I don't even feel like I have a body right now. I don't even feel like my body feels contracted. My body feels concealed and the energy is trying to go through the body, but my body's just concealed as that's trying to happen, right? And so my spine, my tailbone is in wretched pain. So your tailbone, right? Think about your tailbone is the energy outlet, right? The energy inlet is the crown. The main energy outlet is going to be the tailbone, right? So when we think about the tailbone, think about a solar flare, you guys. You've been injected with all this cosmic energy. The tailbone is how that cosmic energy has come through your body to now begin to integrate into the earth, right? So when the tailbone opens and releases the energy, what you've done is you've transmuted the energy through your body to integrate a cosmic upgrade at an earthly level. This is how your energetic field expands. This is how whatever is being revealed to in your life right now, when the tailbone opens and the energy is able to move out the tailbone, then we're able to hold that shift or change in our body, right? So my lower back is like this today, right? So to explain this on the timeline of what happened, yesterday was the peak, right? Yesterday I was mainly in bed all day, releasing, but I was hit so hard, I couldn't function yesterday. But now my tailbone is this. And what I know is that my body has engaged with a transmission from the solar flare to integrate that energy to create an earthly experience of cosmic proportions. When the energy integrates to the tailbone, we're creating a cosmic experience at an earthly human level. This is really what's happening, you guys. This is where Earth and the ancient sort of cosmic stratosphere interject, right? It's through the energetic body, through the chakras. And so the spine, right, is going to be part of the central nervous system, which again, this energy is invading our space to a place where it becomes this microcosm sort of contraction and initiation, because our whole entire nervous system has just short-circuited, right? So basically, our bodies have blown a fuse. That's the best way to break down what has happened. Our bodies have blown a fuse, which means we're going to be experiencing chaos. And this is, you guys, when this type shit happens, all kind of like nervous system regulation practices, they kind of all go out the window. And it's kind of like, put on your seatbelt, strap on for this ride. It won't last forever, but shit's going to be kind of chaotic for a bit, right? And that's why, like, when these crazy, there are certain things I do, sit in meditation, like that solar plexus. And guys, with the solar plexus, if you breathe in for 4 and exhale for 8. So what that's going to help do is activate a little bit of the parasympathetic system. And when we inhale for 4 and we exhale for 8, it might create a shuddering where your system's like this, right? And what that's essentially doing is the tissue in your body is trying to kind of expand its capacity to hold enough capacity in the space for the fuse to come on again, right? So this temporary contraction is a blown fuse while the body kind of acclimatizes to the big energy dump from the solar flare, to now be able to integrate the energy to now release it through the tailbone. And so when the energy releases through the tailbone, now what you've done is you've landed more of your spiritual gifts, more of your true purpose of why we're here. More what's really happening, guys, it's a revelation of your most true raw nature. So we're asking to move into a greater exposure of our most true, pure, innate vibration that makes us who we are, right? So if you thought about yourself as like a frequency or yourself as an energy, what this cosmic injection of energy, it's trying to bring more of that online. So you can allow your natural true aura to radiate through your body, but it brings up every area of stuckness in the body. It brings up every trauma, every pattern that's still in the way of integrating the cosmic energy. And no matter how tapped in you are in your system, guys, no matter how much capacity, you're going to experience a blown fuse in your nervous system when we're accessing this much energy, right? It's like crazy electric energy that just was dumped at one time. And so we know, science-based, through what space.com was reporting, that yesterday was the peak, right? So what we should hopefully be experiencing now is the beginning of an integration. Over the course of sort of the next week, the next few days, we should be experiencing an integration of the energy. And so I want to again come back to that point that I made, guys, that it's an opportunity. And the question is, will you use this opportunity, right? So there's different variations, right? Some people, when this happens, they don't even feel it. Their body has no idea, right? And that just means their body is not, their energetic body, their physical body, their tissue body, their cellular body is not aligned to the energy of the cosmos. So they never feel any of these impacts, right? Either they're just not tapped in, or they're not sensitive in that way, whatever it might be. And there are people that feel it at a small level, right? There are people that feel it at a small level where they're like, yeah, they have some symptoms, but they don't have enough symptoms that it's going to initiate change. And then there are people that really, really feel the energy, but they avoid it. They don't utilize it in a certain way. And then there's the side that we want to hopefully be on, is that we're really experiencing it and we're utilizing the energy for something. It's a quantum upgrade, a quantum level. For example, with me, my sort of like 5-year plan, it just downloaded in my body. Like the 5-year plan, I'm like, ooh. And so, and some decisions in my life where I was kind of humming and hawing, they become really clear. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's kind of like chaos, but now the Tetris pieces are kind of, now I kind of feel like like I'm playing a symphony and things are sort of beginning to align in their place. This here, everything's beginning to find its compartment. And that's sort of what happens when there's a big injection. It's kind of like you're energetically punched and you're temporarily off balance and woozy and sort of concuss, but then you kind of come back and then you go down and you root down even deeper. You go deeper, you go bigger, you expand wider into sort of more of that true innate nature. And so what is revealed, you guys, is just everything maybe in our life where we aren't in total alignment of our source frequency is really being abruptly and distinctly sort of highlighted for us in probably potentially a really uncomfortable way. Like I've had just crazy levels of like shame come up in a certain way. And obviously underneath that shame is a lot of pain, a lot of hurt and sadness, but it's like, whoa. And what I surmise from that is that like shame is revealing where I'm not allowing like a deeper revelation to come through in my body and space. So that shame sort of gridlocks the revelation of like your true innate nature to be able to shine through and to be able to be exposed, right? When that shame comes, it creates a concealing that when this sort of solar flare injection or eruption happens, we're going to go back more into the cave. We're going to go back into the bad patterns, the old world, the old habit. We're going to move away from the calling. We're going to move away from the activation that is trying to happen, right? And so we're probably going to be experiencing a wide range of, Robin said, anger. I've had like crazy levels of like rage come through intermittingly, crazy levels of like hopelessness, of like such a deep grief that it's like, holy shit, like this is the deepest, heaviest grief, and like depression feeling energy of like that I've ever experienced. And then crazy experiences of like feeling so exposed and on display. And so it's a bridge moment and our body fights it, right? Our body fights it, right? So we're probably experiencing, and one reason why this is really hard is that our body's going to fight it in some way. We're going to be feeling an energetic counter in the body because the short circuit of the nervous system means whatever upgrade is happening, your nervous system is going to be fighting against it to some degree because your system doesn't have the capacity to hold the energy yet. No matter how tapped in you are, your body won't have the capacity to hold the energy dump that has just taken place. So what's going to happen is the energy comes, and it's kind of like the Road Runner. You know the Road Runner? Remember in the cartoon, the Road Runner, when it was running, but it was running on the spot? Initially, when this dump happens, we're probably going to be seeing things so clearly and seeing the path forward, but then we feel the nervous system and the physical body responding in such a way that it's not supporting that movement that is being revealed, right? And so what's happening is in your actual body, the limitations, the current capacity of your system is being revealed in contrast to your cosmic potential. So your earthly human body, the restraints, constraints that you still feel in contrast to your cosmic experience are being revealed. So it's kind of like the Road Runner running on the spot. It's like you know where to go, you know it's being revealed, but what you're currently having to work through are those residual aspects of the resistance and holding on and fear and survival, your own personal traumas, ancestral patterns, all being revealed to you as sort of this revelation of why you aren't able to hold the cosmic upgrade. And so the nervous system is short-circuited like a blown fuse, like a light that won't turn on. That's why our cell phones aren't working properly. That's why we're going to have a lot of technology interruptions because it's too much energy at one time. And so the kind of the temporary short circuit or blown fuse, and our body is working, is doing what it needs to do to integrate the energy. but we just have to kind of hold on as it's doing that. As energy integrates, it reveals ascension in human consciousness, right? So people who ascend consciously, people who ascend their human consciousness are people who allow the revelation energetic frequency movement of the body to take place. And they understand that as different energy integrates in the body, our adaptation of human consciousness proportionally expands to how energy integrates. And so, Kayla, you were talking about your spine, your tailbone, the sacrum, right above your ass, right? When that energy comes down, I want you to think about when you really notice energy coming down, what that's going to be is the energy is beginning to ground. That's going to mean the energy is beginning to ground, which means you're going to create more of a capacity to hold the energy that's happening right now. And it also means that more of the cosmic upgrades in your consciousness are going to begin to slowly land on Earth, right? That means that the rise in your consciousness is going to begin to come into your consciousness, right? So a big cosmic upgrade is we're expanding beyond our comprehension of consciousness. We're in a stratosphere and energetic volume that is beyond consciousness, right? And so once the energy merges down through the sacrum, now what's happening is that cosmic energy is moving within the paradigm of our known consciousness. So now, but what it does as this energy is penetrating sort of our energetic field, we're meeting an edge, we're meeting a limitation, and it's serving a purpose to want to expand our physical, energetic, somatic capacity, but it's also wanting to expand our capacity for consciousness, what we can hold in a conscious realm of understanding here in a human experience. And so we're pushing a limit, we're pushing a thread. When the energy comes down and begins to filter through the body, out our legs, out the sacrum, really into like our root and our sacral chakras, now that limitation of consciousness, the energy kind of moves within a framework where, oh, I understand what this energy is doing now, but it's also expanding the energy out, right? So within the framework, it expands it here, 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 but it also allows a revelation, a God truth to come forward, something that maybe was on our blind spot, some truth that we understand at a deeper level, maybe the next step in the path, maybe what we need to move towards, maybe what we need to move away from, right? So when this happens, guys, we want to really hold fort, allow the chaos, allow it to be really uncomfortable, understanding we're alchemizing something, right? We're alchemizing something, but no, this is either an opportunity to move more into dark or more into light, more into descent or more into ascent. This is an opportunity to move more into self-creation or self-destruction. This is an opportunity to move more into freedom or more into fear. Are we going to take this opportunity and run with it? Allow yourself to be present to what's happening in the body. Allow the trust that your body will figure out what to do with this energy. Your body will figure out what to do with this energy when you're ready to have the newfound depth of consciousness revealed to you. That's how spiritual ascension works. The body integrates energy to expand the framework and realm of human consciousness, right? This is why people who are like spirituality is woo-woo, they have a very limited realm of human consciousness. It's very it's very protected. It's very guarded, that we don't want our realm of consciousness to be poked and prodded in any which way. And so a spiritual experience is a curious experience of allowing the influx of energy to poke and prod at the realm and understanding of our consciousness, right? So that we can create a new iteration or understanding of our consciousness, that we can allow kind of holes in our consciousness to be revealed, shadow to be revealed, shame to be revealed, darkness to be revealed, so that we can move into a more curious and authentic expression of who we are and allow that transmission to take place. And so initially, guys, it's going to be a really dark experience. It's a really dark experience when these solar flares, and for anyone that's tuning in late, what we're dealing with right now are solar flares that's being proven scientifically. Think if an earthquake was a 10 on the Richter scale, we're experiencing a 10 on the Richter scale of solar flares. The peak was yesterday, Thursday morning, which leads me to believe that, we're slowly now, I'd say right now, moving into a little bit more of the body finally figuring out how to integrate, how to somatically descend the energy. Because, right, we're experiencing the energy from up here, right? We're experiencing the energy from up here, and we need the energy to descend so that it can arrive on Earth, right? Essentially, when this big cosmic injection, we're trying to figure out how to take higher vibrational cosmic energy and ground and land this energy on Earth through our human experience. And so these solar flares are creating this massive experience of shutdown, of a short circuit, of a blown fuse in the nervous system. We're going to access darkness, you guys. Things are going to get dark. Like when your nervous system short circuits, you're going to activate, again, a level of darkness that you temporarily don't have the capacity to hold. I think that's really important, guys. When your nervous system short circuits, and this is what happened in my initiation. Guys, when I went through my initiation in 2020, I was in the hospital with compressed discs, and it was the same thing. I had a blown fuse in my nervous system because I couldn't hold the energy that I was accessing. So when we experience a blown fuse, and this is a microcosm experience right now, your body won't have the capacity to hold the level of darkness, because what happens when you have a blown fuse in the system, that means the energy is so big, so overwhelming, you have no capacity to hold it yet. There's going to be an associated level of darkness of, maybe the earth's pain, the earth's suffering, but also your own unhealed attachment, your own unhealed fear, your own ancestral patterns and karma and traumas and past life karma and traumas. When your nervous system shuts down, you're going to recreate an experience of some of that darkness that you need to move through. But temporarily, it's going to feel so overwhelming because your body can't hold it yet. And we don't have a choice or say in this because of the energetic eruption that has happened from these sunspots, from the sun's atmosphere. We won't have the capacity to hold it. And so that's why what really is happening is bringing up a lot of shadow, right? It's bringing up a lot of darkness. It's bringing up a lot of anger, grief, fear, like a lot of the uncomfortable emotions. And so it's trying to bring up a large quantity, higher vibration of the dark emotions that are trying to move into a more cosmic, free, joyful experience. So on the other side of this, you will feel more integrated and aligned with God than you ever have if you utilize the energy from this period, and if you just allow the darkness that you're accessing to move through your body. Again, will you move more into self-destruction? Will you move more into sort of the shadow world, more of sort of your shadow compulsions, or where that chaos is maybe pulling you? Because that chaos is ripe for so many different opportunities. We can move more into shadow, or we can move more into the creation of like our God timeline, right? And we can make massive quantum leaps in a short period of time if we choose to use this time as an opportunity to move more into a mode of self-creation. And so really pay attention to those impulses, trying to pull you in certain directions, and just understand that we just have to hold fort, strap in, and understand that the darkness is only temporary. It's because the energy we're accessing is put our system into a blown fuse space temporarily, where we need to integrate the darkness so that we can hold more light than we ever could before. So we can hold more light than we ever did before. And so this solar flare, a mission, is a massive spiritual opportunity. And these spiritual opportunities keep coming, guys. The first real big one is really the pandemic, right? Think about how many people moved more onto like a new earth, or cosmic timeline in the wake of the pandemic, right? And strap in and tap in, love it. But how many people maybe just double down on staying the same, right? And this is where a lot of teachers work out of the pandemic. A lot of teachers expanded into like this new frequency of the creation of their work, where some teachers, which is crazy to me, when some teachers went through all these experiences and their work was exactly the same tone, talking about the same topics, and their bodies just weren't aligned to this frequency to what was happening. And so when we're someone who's really meant to walk a spiritual path, we're going to feel the impact of these solar flares, of these cosmic injections of energy way more than the average person, which means it now gives us an opportunity to move more into the cosmic God timeline, more into the creation of our Dharma and what we're here to do. And so really allow yourself to be aware of what's trying to be revealed. It might be really subtle, it might be nuanced, or it might be really, really big. But what I will say is, with all this energy, and this is the last thing I'll say, guys, with all this energy that's being released at one time, it's going to reveal and have it be blatantly clear where you've been stuck and stagnant. And it's going to force you to move out of stagnation in those certain places. And what's going to happen is, if you don't move into patterns of movement in those areas that you've historically been stagnant, that are being revealed right now, you're going to move greater into shame. You're going to move greater into depression. You're going to move greater into fear and greater into self-loathing. And so the question I'm going to leave with you, are you going to utilize this opportunity? Are you going to allow the magical fruit to be bared to you? Initially, it's going to be bared in a way that's really uncomfortable to hold. And your capacity to surrender, allow that revelation to come, is going to determine how much flow you experience, how much magic you experience, how much of your dreams continue to come true, or how much of the darkness continues to surround you. So thank you, everyone, for tuning into this live. This was very interesting. Talking about the current energy upgrades of this solar flare activation, which experienced its peak Thursday morning, September 12th, yesterday morning, where we're now going to be beginning to integrate that energy. Again, solar flares, they ignite, they activate EMR energy, electromagnetic radiation. So that's just going to lead to, I talked about this nervous system blown fuse or short circuit, where we've been injected with a whole fuckload of cosmic energy at one time, and now the body's trying to integrate it. You guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. Please comment. Again, I do YouTube lives every Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be running these lives twice a week until sometime in November, when I'm going to be launching my podcast and YouTube show. And then at that point, I'll probably just do one live a week and one podcast a week. But that's, up for debate of what I'm going to do with that just yet. The Sunday sermon, I didn't know I needed. Everything you articulated is everything I've been picking up on. Thank you so much. You're so welcome, Kayla. Thank you so much for tuning into these. Guys, I'm going to be continuing to create. This is another thing that's been revealed to me in this, is I really want to, kind of from the idea of creating like, not a support group, but creating some type of product membership for you guys that revolves around having ongoing guidance of moving through these spiritual ebbs and flows, and having sort of this ongoing sort of support of community of people who are sort of tapped into these things, of how they can be supported. And so I'm beginning to, that's something that's been awakened inside of me here, is how can I create something very organized, systemized, for larger volumes of people to be able to, at first, just support from me, but then on a larger scale, other forms of support to navigate spiritual awakening, spiritual transformation, to navigate this in a human experience, and really try to create some streamlined experience.
anyways, that's just a little embryo that's come with me. One of the things that's come up this week as I've been sitting in this energy. And so I'm going to continue to kind of meditate with that because I'm wanting to create more of a community-based experience of how I can bring all of us together in a way where you all can be supported, where you can be led, but also we can create conversation and we can create sort of allowing us ourselves to be understood in these experiences that almost seem like we're having these out of body, out of this world experiences that no one understands, and a place where we could really be understood in that. So we'll see what begins to manifest in my space around that. Okay, everyone, much love, you guys. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys all soon, and good luck integrating this energy. Gang, gang.